Hello and welcome to Bud's RPG Review, where I give my thoughts on role-playing games, card games and board games. Today's review is Bring Me Her Bones by Games Omnivorous. Okay, first a bit of history. Released in February 2020, Bring Me Her Bones is a system-agnostic scenario that was released under Games Omnivorous' Manifestus Omnivorous Principles. It's a 52-page digest format softback book that's available as a PDF or in print from the publisher. All books in the Manifestus Omnivorous series follow a set of 10 principles. The books are adventures, must be system agnostic, take place on Earth, can only have one location, can only have one monster, must include saprophagy or osteophagy, that being feeding on decaying matter and bones. They must include a voracious eater, have less than 6,666 words, can only be in 2 colours and cannot have good taste. So with that in mind, let's have a look at the cover. Here we have an almost Art Deco design by Dirk de Twijnelijkte, which has the simple colour scheme of blue and green and is very eye-catching. The book has the cover attached via this elasticated band, which I will separate here as we will need this shortly. Opening the book, we are greeted with the synopsis of what the scenario is about. The young King Agenor sold his soul to the Green Sun in order to bring peace and wealth, which has continued for 46 years, and reaching a point in his life where he fears what awaits him in the great beyond, has turned to the worship of the Beast, buying an extension to his life in return for gruesome sacrifices. The Beast, however, is still hungry and has become infatuated with the King's daughter, Europa, demanding her bones so that they can be devoured and Europa can be wedded to the Beast, in return for the promise that the King would live forever. Europa has vanished. The scenario describes itself as system agnostic with a dynamic calendar, a die-drop astrological table that governs the weather, encounters and events in the game, and the whole thing is self-contained and sits in an ambiguous time period. It's recommended for 2 to 5 players. We then move to the setup. The city is a small anachronistic monarchy surrounded by farms and other developments for a few miles along the south bank of the river. It gives you a number of options as to why you are here, things like to investigate the grisly murders, or finding the path to the lost moon, or maybe even a personal errand. What you actually know is that Princess Europa has been betrothed and vanished, with some people in the city claiming to have seen her around, that 2 people have been murdered in the city and have been dissected, having their bones removed, with the newspapers crying for justice and the royal guard promising investigation, and that a new evil omen has appeared in the sky, with fearful astrologers calling it the Beast. The game begins as you pay your rent in the city for the first season, the new moon of green season. A place is chosen from this list of where they're currently staying. Next we move on to the map of the skies. There are 6 constellations: the Twins, who watch over the green season, the Vine, who is over harvest season, the Temple, which is over fire season, the Emperor over frost season, the Manticore over dark season, and the Leviathan over the monsoons. These are supposed to be tracked. There are 4 arcana that rule over the cardinal directions: Lilith in the west, who is associated with mysteries, magic, blood and feminine liberation; the Singularity in the north, of which it is unknown what it is associated with; the Lost Moon in the east, associated with water, solitude, travellers and unrequited love; and finally the Green Sun in the south, which is to do with fire, truth, flowering plants and demonic forces. There's the lunar path, which should be counted with the token or some sort of mark to track the current day, and finally the near skies, which governs the weather, festival days and the turning of the seasons. Of course, other forces move among the signs and arcana, delivering portents. This is done by dropping d6s on the map and referring to the list here. Each entry has an A or B option which is never really explained, but let's assume it's either and or. The omens are the Beast, Mars, Saturn, Venus, Andromeda and the Red Comet, with each having omens of various things like deceit, fertility and past calamity. Next we move on to the structure of play. It explains that the calendar paces the events over the days and seasons, and parts of the city interact with the changing skies. You're supposed to track the current day and season on the sky map, and each morning read the skies for the day's portents. Each day is divided into exploration turns: morning, afternoon, evening and night, and in each of these turns the players can either visit and explore somewhere on the map, try to find a particular person, plan logistics and gather supplies, rest or do any other miscellaneous thing. Time not accounted for is assumed to be one of a number of variety of items, such as waiting in line, being trapped in conversation or dealing with bureaucracy. It then goes into reading the skies. This is done by holding 3d6 6 inches above the centre of the map and then dropping them, and the number on the die alongside where it lands forms a portent, though it never really explains what to do if dice roll off the map. If dice land on the same place, only interpret the highest number and they remain in place for the next day, but they may be knocked out of the way by other dropped omens. This is all done in front of the players, with the secrets of the omens being revealed throughout the day as they happen. The players only see them as they land on the map and put together their importance throughout play. The portents happen no matter where the players are. Omens that fall into the lunar path foretell events of the corresponding days, with them coming true much as the referee can work them in. 1 is the beast and another grisly murder. 2 is Mars and a bloody conflict or the birth of great art. 3 is Saturn, which is a fall from power or the derailment of long-term plans. Venus is a startling act of love or vengeance. Andromeda is the triumph of civilization over nature, or a cooperation between old enemies, and the red comet is a solar eclipse and double omens. With me so far? Should omens fall on the arcana, they have their nature overridden and the arcanum takes over. If it is Lilith, there is a blood moon, magic is supercharged and law and institutional authority is weakened. The singularity causes transdimensional beings to leak from the void, and good omens remain here until knocked away. The green sun makes the sky glow emerald, with blinding flames on the horizon. Plants thrive, and green sun clerics burn sacrifices, things like gold, demonic relics, enchanted blades, one of their enemies or even one of their own. The lost moon causes another moon to be in the sky with a neon city on its face, which is an immortal tech utopia. The Lost Moon Oracle has been there and back, and to walk there requires either a piece of the Lost Moon, a lack of conviction to make the crucial leap, wait to return until the Lost Moon is in power, or those that return find their bodies remade in perfect biomechanical replica. We then move on to omens in the near skies. Those that land here affect the weather depending on the current season, with the first line of each indicating what it is if no omen interferes, and it also governs how the seasons turn. There are all kinds of different changes such as stampedes, swarms of bees, the sun not rising, blizzards, blood rain, and even a rare, clear day. After this we have omens in the signs of the seasons. Though it doesn't fully explain what these are, I assume by the artwork that it is the strange spiked vine things. This causes events to happen that are on various pages throughout, and without going through them, suffice to say it complicates things to the nth degree further than it ever needed to be. There's some decent abstract art, and then we move on to the encounters. Each encounter has a number of alphabetised points about them. For example, King Agenor is explained as having sold his soul in A, but then it'll move to B, which has B.1 and B.2, and it's not clear as before whether these are and or. It shifts through the various people and factions from the blue-eyed prince, who is the beast in disguise, the cult of the beast, Princess Europa, Agenor's sons Cadmus and Phoenix, the Royal Guard, the Lost Moon Oracle, and then we have a map of the city with no key, and then it shifts to the Green Sun Clerics, trans-dimensional beings, and then a variety of spirits, and eventually we get to the Visitor's Guide. Here it details all of the places on the map, with accompanying illustrations of what the place looks like, giving a simple description, what was unusual about the place and what can be found there. It covers Wolf Island, Quiet Hive, the Royal Castle, the Crystal Eruption, the Bunker, the Bank of the Crown, Ippodromo, the Prince's Yacht, the Sculpture Garden, Ragnar's Cabin, Fang Altar, the Condemned Factory, the Opera, the Chained Water Dragon, the Canal Fort, the Mausoleum, the Well-Wisher's Water, a place where sacrifices are made and rewards are gained, and this is followed by the Museum, the Glass Dome, and perhaps most strange of all, the Golf Course. This is followed by the City Burner, which is a way of generating buildings and features on the unlabelled parts of the map. And then finally the Appendix, which details all of the various keys that are found around the city, alongside who has them and what they are used for. Although I had no preconceptions when going in to Bring Me Her Bones, the whole thing left me feeling a combination of intrigued and confused in equal measure. Aesthetically, it's a lovely thing to look at, with the 3-colour production scheme and almost Art Deco artwork direction being very striking. This is definitely a scenario your eye would be drawn to if you saw it in a shop or an expo. The big issue I have with it is the whole celestial bodies part of the game. There's just too much going on at the same time for the GM to have to deal with, and that is without the players having done a single thing. And the fact that the explanation of how it all works takes up to 12 pages to explain, and even the explanation being incredibly bare bones, it made the scenario itself feel like it was almost an afterthought. It may seem strange to say, but this feels like a board game that has been converted into a role-playing scenario, and I genuinely feel like if the time was put into making this a board game, then it would be much better for it. The premise of the scenario is okay, but not something you would call super original, and though the city is interesting in many ways, it feels a bit random and patched up. I would even go as far as to say it's not really a scenario at all, being more akin to a collection of ideas roughly pieced together with no denouement to strive to. Also, I puzzled for a while over which system one could use to actually play this with, and nothing immediately sprang to mind. I do, however, feel like if you had a GM who could fully invest the time into this scenario that it really needs, as well as a group of players that could endure the random nature of the event and environment, then it could be really good. But at least for my taste, there's far too much happening at any one time for my brain to be able to handle it, and I have a gut feeling it would drive me to distraction if I attempted to make it work. If you're looking for something striking and to a large degree having an interesting design ethic, then Bring Me Her Bones could be just the thing you're looking for. But for me at least, it has the potential of the GM having too many spinning plates, which detracts from giving the individual parts the care they deserve, and the random nature of events just adds an extra layer of difficulty to the preparation that needs to be done to get this to work. It's worth saying that Games Omnivorous deserve credit here for publishing something a bit more out there than other publishers seem to be doing these days, though I feel that this one has just gone a bit too far in trying to be different, and it feels at times to be a bit indecipherable. I give it a 5.5 out of 10. If you enjoyed this review, please make sure to hit the thumbs up, subscribe to my channel and check out my other videos. Also, if you're interested in buying this product, I'll put some links below. Lastly, if you like what I produce here, then maybe think about supporting me on Patreon, or even becoming a member on my YouTube channel. Bud out.